I didn't actually make a mistake. I'm not lying. The war has been declared. The Trump and Iran war is declared. Yeah. The declaration of war. This much is so far the concerns of the great powers of the world after the death of General Qasem Soleimani in Iran, in the American raid taken place throughout the night on Thursday to Friday, 3rd January in Iraq. Because for most of the part, the elimination of the most powerful and charismatic chief of the unity of the elite, guardian of the revolutionary Islamic forces, which has been ordered by the United States forces, Donald Trump had crossed Rubicon in the confrontation with the Tehran. Because, given the very thought, the gravity concerning the removal and elimination of the most powerful charismatic figure of the unity of the Revolutionary Army in Iran as a guardian forces, Donald Trump has already made enormous decision, weighing the pros and cons before ordering this final decision to remove him as a commander-in-chief on top of the chain direction in the U.S. military forces, right? Described by a number of experts as the secondary person, the most powerful in Iran after the supreme guide by Khamenei, the General Soleimani was one heck of a mystical figure of the Iranian Revolution, active starting from 1979. He had already become the son of the decades of the military operations brain by taking up the center position in the Middle East, overviewing the direction in the leadership in Iran, and opening up the door to Lebanon for sustaining the terror groups like Hezbollah and Hamas in Syria, to help Bashar al-Assad or to support the military forces in Iraq, where he was dead, where he has been declared dead, right? Because he has been actually opening up a door to be involved with the murky business by supporting many different terrorist organizations, Hezbollah and Palestinian Hamas in Syria, by actually assisting and supporting the dictator Bashar al-Assad again in Iraq, until he is dead on the spot. When it comes to his maneuver in Baghdad, he actually was the one who presided over, noticeably, the negotiation for the formation of the future government of Iraq, while actually preserving all the interests of Iran. His death truly shakes off the region, which actually gives another tremblement in Iraq and along the region of the border, leaning toward the powder cake, right? His death challenges yet another peace equilibrium, and which actually places Iraq on the border of another powder cake and tinderbox. I don't need to think about it. It's really easy. Macaron the reform at all costs, no matter what. I don't really need to. In the tradition of the voice message in New Year, by opening up a new presidential message for the new years to come, those, by Emmanuel Macron for 2020, were not particularly expected, as well as the country itself is in the state of a paralysis by the strikes taken by the transportation sector, and certain people hope a sign of appeasement by the part of the presidential obligation to unify the divided country and healing the wounded country as a president of the republic. That was what was expected. However, yesterday night, starting from his own office in the Elysee Palace, the president of the republic. Could have been much clearer. Couldn't have been, because he was very audacious to confirm his desire to go ahead with the reform project by pushing over the retirement reform at all costs, following from his own conditions and visions, contrary to what is expected by the people. And even in the face of contestation, which actually lasts more than about a month, approximately about a month, the head of the nation has equally wanted that his prime minister finds exactly the way of compromise to move the nation beyond, by actually bring the actual solution that might pave the both way, satiating for both parties, which actually startles the nation starting from the December 5th in the last year. I would have never stopped. I would have stopped at nothing in the face of pessimism or blockage or impediment. He has nailed it down with the firmness. He has been equally insisting on the economic contest, much favorable, and he has been taking his own good numbers of creating job places in France by opening up more opportunities for job posts for employees, starting from his arrival in the power. What am I missing? In the face of the nation's status, parties from the opposition and the labor unions have not been convinced by the words of a president. It has the impression that this is a president of the republic who has been determined, in its own word, just like, bull, to be so fundamental. Philip Martinez has declared on BFM TV, which actually calls to tenderize the movement. In contrary, one actually calls for mobilizing and go on a manifestation and then take themselves on the streets. The leader of the CGT, the greatest labor union, has added, we actually ask all the French people to take to the streets and go on the strikes and go and demand something grave to be changed. Jean-Luc Mélenchon has seen this, allocation as a declaration of war against the millions of French who have never been approving or siding with this revolution, because it means war, by going after the French people who never endorsed the reform